With over 200,000 people moving to Alberta in 2023, it is no surprise that we're seeing massive price growth in 2023 and now in 2024, probably going into 2025. If you actually look at this article here from The Owl, which I will link in the description below, the amount of people that have moved here in 2023 was double the size of Red Deer, Alberta. If you've ever been to Red Deer, Alberta, you would understand that it's a fairly large city. We haven't actually seen this high of growth since 1957. Now, 2/3 of that growth were from international migration, where 1/3 or 27% was from interprovincial migration. Now, if you go down here a little bit lower, you'll see that Ontario residents accounted for 42% and British Columbia residents accounted for 28% of the interprovincial migration. So pretty wild stuff here. This chart here showcases what Alberta has seen in the last, let's say, 10 years, and we are absolutely exploding in the terms of new provincial migration growth. It has been an absolute wild roller coaster to see. I'm really hoping that the Alberta government actually puts in some money into more infrastructure like roads, schools, hospitals, because we are seeing a massive amount of people moving here. So with that being said, the detached price for Calgary is now $739,700, a 14% increase from last year and an $18,000 increase from last month. If you look at the year-over-year stat, we're up $90,000 since 12 months ago. It has been a pretty wild ride here, and I would imagine that Calgary, is most likely going to see double-digit price growth this time in 2025. We are not going to slow down anytime soon. My name is Adam Fyfe, your Calgary Realtor. If you're looking at getting into the market, I say it every month, information and planning is very important. Looking at the numbers, looking at the stats, figuring out what you need to do to be competitive is so important in this market. For you sellers out there, it also makes sense to plan ahead. You don't want to get into this market with not being prepared for the amount of activity that you're probably going to see on your property. So this is a written description for the single family homes in Calgary. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and read this. Go pause the video, read it on your own. It's a little blurb about what's going on in the detached market from the Calgary Real Estate Board. It's very good stuff. Now, this is a pretty wild chart. This is the total cities activity for single family homes. You can see the red line is absolutely taking off, especially compared to last year. You can see that March, April, May, June, we went up on a trajectory. We hit a wall, or we hit a ceiling in August. We kind of stabilized for a little bit going right into January, and now we're just absolutely exploding through price. You can see that the sales is actually outpacing the inventory. Now, if you go back to my May update, you would actually see that I was a little nervous at that point because they were really close neck and neck. Then we saw a drop off in June. In July, it just slowed right down. The summer hit, everyone wanted to just basically relax. The interest rates were a little higher. A lot of people weren't really sure what was going to go on with the economy. We definitely hit a ceiling, and I honestly thought that that might be where we started to peak out a little bit. Maybe some small increases, but we are now just absolutely smashing past through all of the things that were set, the records that were set from last year, and I don't know where we're going to slow down, but at this rate we're not slowing down anytime soon. So this chart here is the same information, just in a written form for people to follow along a little bit more in detail, and it also shows the days on market. So you can see the sales were at about 1,100, new listings upticked, which is really great to see. We're at almost 14. Inventory, or the leftover homes, is only $1,100. Now, when you look at the inventory, especially when you compare it to last year, right? You look at your March, April, May, June, we were all upwards of 1,500 homes left over at the end of the month. Now we're only at 1,100. When we go into the winter months, the Decembers, the February, the Januaries, you see we're hovering around 1,000, which is fairly normal. But usually when we get into the spring market, there's a lot of new listings that come on the market, which lifts up the inventory, but we're just not seeing that right now. You can see that the days on market has dropped down to 20, which is basically June of last year. So this hot summer months, where the most activity usually is, we're basically already there in terms of days on market. The benchmark price is at $739, which was a massive increase from last month. You can see $721. The median price, or the middle price, is up to $718, and now the average price, which is the first time that I've ever seen it, is over $800,000. So the average price price point for the average sale is over 800,000, which is pretty gnarly, meaning a lot of more expensive luxury product is moving, as well as a lot of the lower end product is actually increasing in price as well, which is increasing that average. So pretty crazy stuff. Now, this is a cool breakdown year to date. I'm going to touch on this every month. I actually quite enjoy this. The total sales year to date is at 2,800. Last year we were at 25. You can see that the total sales volume just for the single family homes was 2.2 billion, almost a 30% increase from last year. Now, the new listings has decreased, which is very unfortunate to see. I'm really hoping that new inventory and new listings come on the market to try to offset this craziness. But you can see that the inventory has dropped a pretty substantial amount as well, 20%, where for the year-to-date average, we're only seeing about 1,000 homes left over at the end of the month. Months of supply is greatly decreased by 30%, 1.1, which is a very hot seller's market. The sales to new listing ratio is over 80%. Last year, we're only at 68. The sales to new listing price is over 101, right? So again, more often than not, the sale price is above the listing price. Days on market for the average year to date is at 25. The benchmark price, again, 721. Median price is 710, and then the average year to date average price is 782. So we haven't actually hit that month, so the year to date average above 800 yet. Now, I thought it was quite comical that last video I talked about how the market was compared to 2006. So I wanted to do some diving, and I wanted to see, okay, well, what was March 2006 like? So this chart here is from Kreblink, and it's a portal offered by the Calgary Real Estate Board, which allows us to cross compare different markets. So let's just go through this super fast, and we're going to go over to the 2014 next. So the sales were for March, year to date to March 2006 was 4,700 sales, okay? Compared to the 28 that we saw. New listings was 55 compared to the 35 that we've seen this year. The inventory was around the same, right? 11 compared to our 1,000. Our sales to new listing ratio in 2006 was higher. The months of supply was a lot lower. You can see that we were 0.7, which was a very hot market. But here's where it gets comical. Look at the benchmark price, $318,000 for a single family home in Calgary compared to the $721,000 that we're seeing now. That is a 127% increase from 2006. The median price, the average price, right? You're seeing 116 and 111% increases. You can see the days on market was obviously lower. The sales to list price was at 1, and the dollar value in sales was only 1.7 billion. So pretty interesting stuff. Yes, we can compare to the 2006 market being as busy, but we're looking at those price points, and it's just absolutely wild to see. It's a 127% increase. Now let's look at 2014, okay? So the sales year to date is down. The sales year to date in 2014 is up. The new listings were up. The inventory was way up. You can see that the sales and listing ratio is down. The months of supply is actually more, but you can see the benchmark price is increased 42% since 2014. The median price 48, the average price 43%. So when people start to compare it to markets of past, of course we can talk about how busy those markets were, but let's make sure to put those in reality here a little bit and just see how expensive homes have gotten in Calgary since those previous years. So pretty wild stuff. Now, let's continue on here with our regular tune program. We're looking at the months of supply, the inventory. We're going to obviously see this stay very low for at least the next couple of years. I would imagine, even with the rezoning changes, we're going to see the months of supply stay very low for Calgary. I mean, you look at supply and demand, you look at how many people have moved here in the last 2 years. Obviously, something dramatic most likely has to happen in this market for us to see any sort of slowdown. So this is starting to break it down into the quadrants. Now this is the detached market right here. You can see that everything is hovering around that 0.8 months of supply, meaning that everything is moving less than a month. If there was no new listings, no new buyers, everything would be basically soaking up within a month. City Center, obviously we're going to see a little bit of a higher months of supply. There's a lot of inventory in City Center, but the price point is a lot more expensive in City Center. So a lot of the affordable product in Calgary has been a more attractive property type, or the section, if you would, of the property compared to the luxury style. But with that being said, the luxury market is seeing a great uptick in activity. So keep that in mind. Now, the benchmark price. This is a kind of a cool overview of looking at what the benchmark prices are for each individual quadrant. You can see that north, south, and southeast are all hovering around that $700,000 price point, which is honestly mind-blowing to me. You can see that they're all kind of the same, but you need to put into the attributes, right? We talk about this every single month. The attributes are very important to realize how much you are getting for that price in that community or quadrant. So when you look at the benchmark, and we're not going to touch on this for too much, but even if you just look at the square footage in the year built compared from north, south, and southeast, you can see that north, you're looking at a home built in 2003, southeast, you're looking at 2006, and then south, you're looking at 1983, right? So you've got a very large discrepancy or difference between those three quadrants, but the price points are all roughly the same. So when you start to actually put like a flat 2003 property all along those three quadrants, you're going to notice that there's going to be a very large difference in price point. So just keep that in mind. Now, looking at the year-over-year price growth, this is honestly just blows my mind every single month. You can see that we are still above 10%, double-digit price growth in 2024. People did not see this coming. They almost expected, some people at least expected some negative price growth based off of the increase in interest rate and all this stuff. But the amount of people that have moved here looking to buy real estate, both interprovincial and from out of country, is driving up those prices like crazy. You can see that East Calgary has seen a large increase of 25%, but when you look back at the benchmark price, it's the most affordable. So it's fairly self-explanatory as to why that has increased so much. So for even last video, honestly, all of the people that put in their property and just want to get that auto value, the instant home evaluation, is mind-blowing to me. Thank you so much for the people that actually go ahead and put in their property address in this just to figure out what their home is worth. Yes, I'm going to call. Yes, I'm going to introduce myself. I promise I'm pretty easy to talk to. We can gab about the market. We can talk about what it is you're trying to accomplish, if anything at all. If you're curious about what your home is valued at, that's totally fine. Go ahead, put it in. Let me help you just figure that out for your own personal gain, right? If you're looking to leverage it, if you're just looking to be curious and know what's going on in your specific market, you can go ahead and put it in here and then test it out. So thank you very much for everyone who has absolutely put their trust in me and not spam them and not send them all this crazy information, but just want to give them value in what's going on in this market. So this is a interesting viewpoint. This is the microeconomic breakdown for each individual quadrant. So last video, the total residential, we talked about some of the things in this microeconomic breakdown. So let's kind of dive into it a little bit more. So here are the sales. Here's the new listings. This is the sales to new listings ratio. You can see everything is above 80%, which is pretty crazy. This is the inventory, or the amount of homes left over at the end of the month. You can actually see that South and City Center have roughly around the same amount of inventory. But when you go over to the price point, you can see that City Center is $922, where South is $711, right? So there's a bit of a difference there. The months of supply, quite a few homes are under 1 month of supply. You can see that City Center is at that 1.75. You can also see that Northeast, surprisingly, is over 1 month as well, which I didn't expect, but here we are. These are the benchmark prices. This is the year over year. This is month over month. And this now is the actual numerical values for the month over month and the previous month over month. And I brought this up before, and I'm going to say it again. You look at some places like City Center, you look at places like West, and some other quadrants here, they have seen over $50,000 increase in 2 months. It is a pretty wild market to witness $50,000 increases in 60 days, 2 months. So if you are looking at getting into the market, it's very important that you realize what you're actually getting into. If you are a seller or you're looking to sell in 2024, this probably excites you, right? Because you know you're creating equity in your own property very quickly as 30 days continuously roll around. Now, I'm going to try something a little different here, and I just want to highlight some of the activity in this market. Now, this is the MLS, or the actual portal that we use as realtors to showcase clients' information. Now, I'm not going to show you any private information because there is some limitations of what I can do, but I can show you some averages and some general numbers of what we're seeing. So if you look at the single families here, this is the detached. We're looking at the active, the pending, and the sold over the last 2 weeks. That's it. That's all. And the entire city, not broken down into quadrants or communities, you can see that there were 1,600 homes, right? So when you actually click on this results here, what I've actually done is I've organized it in a way of the listing contract date, or the date that it actually came on the market. So when you look at the days on market, all of these are 0, right? So when you look at some of the new active stuff, obviously in the last 24 hours, there's probably not going to be a lot of movement compared to how many homes there are in the city, but you can see there's actually 3 that have already, 2 that have already sold, 1 that's already gone pending in Evanston, 550, right? Very affordable property built in 2005 with a detached, double detached garage, right? Obviously that's going to go pending. Look at the price point that it's at. Now, if we go back here and we actually go to just the pending and the active, it drops down to 771, which is just about half of what is actually on the market. And we drop down to sold just in the last 2 weeks, there's 501. So there's a lot of activity in this market, right? And one of the things that I want to just quickly highlight here is just showing how intense this market is. Again, we're looking at the contract date. So you can see this is the date that it's listed. You can see that these are the years that were built. I'm going right to left now. You can see that this is the subdivision, this is the close date, this is the sale to list price ratio. Now, I've said this before and I just want to make sure that you are aware of what is going on in this market. If we look down here real quick, you can see the days on market is very fast, right? Sold, 1 day, 0 days, 2 days, 7 days, 6 days, right? You can see we have to scroll all the way down for the last, let's say 2 weeks of sales, 86 sales, finally saw a double digit, right? That is insane to me, right? It's a double, finally, one home that took 10 days to sell. Everything else sold within 9 days, right? Now when we start to look at the list, sale to list price, you can see if we scroll down here, you've got one under list here, you've got another one under list, you got another one under list. Okay, cool. So there are some opportunities that you can go and actually place a favorable offer for a buyer and get it under list price, but they are few and far between. So if you are planning on getting in this market, it's very important to realize what you're getting into and the likelihood of you finding those good deals. Now, if we scroll down here over the last 14 days, right, you can see some of these homes even listed in November, December of last year. You can see that there are definitely, absolutely opportunities to get them under list price. You can see that there's a lot more because they've been on the market for a lot longer. But you just need to make sure you're sourcing out those deals. It takes a lot of manual labor to go through the market and find those opportunities for you buyers and investors out there. You can't always just rely on the auto emails. You need to go above and beyond and actually find out what is going on in this market and finding those deals, those diamonds in the rough. So with that being said, where is this market going? I am very confident that this market is going to continue to increase, possibly double-digit price growth going right into 2005. Yes, we have some rezoning conversations happening at the city. I would imagine they're probably going to push it through, but I would also argue that the city is going to do what they can to slow down the market, but it's going to be a delayed response. Even if they do that rezoning, it's most likely going to be a delayed, meaning that we might see an inventory increase in 2026, 2027 as these things actually come to fruition. So here I am talking for almost 20 minutes straight here, starting to lose my voice, but the market is not going to slow down. So I would have to advise that if you are looking at getting into the real estate market, do your research now. If it's not through me, that's fine, but go through the market reports, go through all of the things and make sure you have a good understanding of the homes that you're looking at in the specific areas and price points that you're interested in. So thank you very much. I hope you got some value from this video. I plan on doing these things like this every single month. So subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, let me know what your thoughts are. I really appreciate those people that actually make it all the way through. I feel like these videos are very valuable. I've had a lot of great responses, so please comment your questions, ask me what what you're curious about, what you're thinking. Go ahead and ask. I do take my time and I do respond to those in a manner that I actually try to, again, provide value. So thank you very much. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.